don't wait on someone to give you that self-affirmation. It's important for you to start early, realizing it's not coming from an arrogant or cocky place at all. It's about self-affirmation and self-awareness. And one of the young ladies who was 16, she was one of my teens. I went into the classroom and it was a smaller group. I think it was like 8 or 9 that day. And I said, come here, sweetheart. And I said, tell me your name. And she did. And I said, look in the mirror and tell yourself, what do you see? And she was very shy and reserved, and she wouldn't say anything at first. And I said, well, you are absolutely beautiful. And tears start rolling down her face. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, no one has ever told me that.
Welcome to Fierce Frequency, the podcast where your voice, your power, and your story take center stage. I'm your host, Angela Cherry. In each episode, we dive into bold conversations, fresh perspectives, and the energy that fuels change. Tune in, turn up, and let's get fierce together. Welcome back to Fierce Frequency. Today's conversation is with an extraordinary leader whose work is helping shape a more inclusive and empowered future for women across the FinTech and payments industry. Joining us today is Dr. Gail Burgos, Chief Executive Officer of PayTech Women, the premier organization dedicated to advancing and supporting women across the payments industry. With more than 25 years of leadership experience in financial services, diversity, equity, and inclusion, Dr. Burgos has spent her career building bridges, opening doors, and creating meaningful pathways for women to lead and thrive in FinTech. Before becoming CEO of PayTech Women, she served as Senior Diversity Inclusion Officer at TSYS, a global payments company where she led enterprise-wide initiatives that elevated women, children, and underrepresented communities across both corporate and nonprofit sectors. After retiring from TSYS, she founded Burgos Consulting Group, advising organizations on how to build sustainable and inclusive workplace cultures. Dr. Burgos is also deeply committed to community impact. She previously served as CEO of Girls Inc. of Columbus, helping empower young girls through education and mentorship. And she is the visionary behind the project Cookie Jar, a financial literacy initiative designed to educate and inspire the next generation of young women. Her leadership and impact have been widely recognized. She has been honored as a D&I Leader of the Year by the Technology Association of Georgia, received the President's Award from PayTech Women, and was named one of the 100 most influential African Americans in Columbus. She has also been a featured speaker at major industry platforms, including Money 2020 and the Leaders in Payments podcast. Please help me welcome Gail Burgos. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's truly my honor and my pleasure.
Well, we are honored to have you on, and wow, what a career you have had. So let's start with, your work at PayTech Women. Your work revolves around building communities, not just careers. How do you weave in inclusivity, mentorship, and sponsorship into PayTech Women programs to truly advance women in payments?
Well, definitely those are part of our value propositions, each one of those areas you just mentioned. It is part of our ongoing programming and the resources that we provide for our members each and every day. We are very intentional around, number one, our industry knowledge and education. We provide webinars, seminars, panel discussions, and of course, our pinnacle event, the summit itself, that has various breakout sessions and keynote speakers that are they bring their A game and they are intentional about sharing the latest and greatest that is happening in the industry so that our members are being enriched with that information. Number two, it is our amazing network, as you just said. We have over 7,000 women throughout the industry, regardless of which company or organization that they may work for. When they come together, they do feel like, hey, I am amongst people who truly care. The woman to my left and to my right cares about who I am, that I'm growing both personally and professionally. And then the mentorship and the sponsorship that you spoke on. We are very intentional about that, ensuring that the next generation and the next wave of leaders are being poured into and mentored and being exposed and building their confidence so that they feel empowered to take on those leadership roles of tomorrow.
That's fantastic. So I know the last time you and I spoke, you were gearing up for your annual conference that you just spoke about. When was that again?
That was back in November 2025. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that conference. How did it go? What are the key takeaways that you, as the CEO of PayTech Women, have from that particular event?
Well, first of all, it was truly, and I'm not being biased, it was one of the best events. It was our 20th year that we were celebrating, of course, so that made it even more of a celebration. Being an established organization that empowered women for the past 20 years was truly a milestone, right? So we had to bring our A game, and we did. We had amazing keynote speakers within the industry that came and shared with a full room, a ballroom of leaders and contributors that were in attendance. We had celebratory breakout sessions that took place from people all over the industry yet again that came in and brought their A game and shared their knowledge and their experience. And then we had some fun. We had dance from a cultural dance group that actually came in and shared with us about how to dance. And then we had a drum line. Of course, we could not come to Georgia, being the seat of the HBCUs. There are several there in the city, but the drum line came and closed us out in a celebratory manner. So it was truly a great and phenomenal event. Every attendance, LinkedIn was popping and on the buzz for at least several weeks, almost months after the event was over, because people enjoyed themselves and said it was one of the best. It was their professional development that was fulfilled, as well as the camaraderie in the room and being amongst so many people that were like-minded and in the vein of helping each other. So it was a great event. Enjoyed it.
Wow. So what's some examples of the different topics that were covered at the conference?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We went from AI, of course, you can never get enough because that is ever evolving, to stablecoin, that was a very hot topic as well, to what was going on from public relations, government relations, and that impact to the banking industry. So again, we had people from the Federal Reserve that was there. We had people that were in ISOs and payment processors, the insurance world, you just name it. We had a vast array of speakers that were coming in and again, bringing their A game and sharing their best knowledge. And it made it hard for the attendees to try to figure out as they was looking at the agenda. It's like, oh my goodness, it was almost double booking. Do I go to this one? Do I go to this one? And that's a good choice to have, right? When you have that much great interest in all of the topics that were being shared. But yeah, that was in a nutshell, just a few of the topics that were shared.
Wow. So when will the next one be?
Great questions. So our 2026 Leadership Summit is going to be on November the 3rd and 4th, back in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Renaissance Waverly, which is the same location that we were in 2025.
Excellent. So, Gail, what are some of the industry trends in payments and FinTech space that PayTech Women is seeing and addressing?
I would tell you, of course, you can't get enough of AI and what is, the impact. I still hear that, it's been around for several months now, but it's continuing, it's evolving. And so many of our chapter leaders and chapter webinars that they're hosting, and even panel discussions, and even as you go out to other associations, that is still one of the hot topics, and how you cannot just incorporate, not individually, but how you incorporate that into your strategy, into your business integration, so that you are being productive and you are making the best use of what that technology provides. And pretty sure in the next 5 years, it's going to evolve even more, right? Or maybe even just next year, it's going to evolve even more. So that tends to be one of the hot topics that is still being talked about. And of course, we share it within our members and our community on a regular basis.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's definitely something that is, I believe, probably a big topic in a lot of industries right now, right? How to navigate it, how to leverage it to help, all of those things that go into that. So talk to me about this. Since you stepped into the CEO role back last March, correct?
Last February, yeah.
That's February. Okay. How has your vision guided the organization's evolution, especially as you lead for that 20th anniversary that you've celebrated?
Yeah, great question. Well, coming into this role last year, I just hit my first year anniversary. It seems like it went by so fast. But it was, yeah, thank
Congratulations.
you. It was very important transitioning, of course, from board to administration that we have a vision and a target of where we're going for the next 3 to 5 years. So I did introduce and share with the board members in our community a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, something that we did not have before, but was much needed. And so with that, I am excited to see not only the ideas and the objectives and the KPIs that were introduced. Now it comes the execution, the accountability, and how everyone, not just myself or not just a national team, but the board and our community are now working all together to help execute on those goals and keeping us laser focused on what we need to achieve for the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm really excited about that. I've also coined this year, 2026, as our Rise in collaboration with our branding, Rise, Thrive, and Connect. So 2026 is our Rise year. It is onward and upward. And so the things that we're doing are certainly aligning to, again, the strategic plan and then how that progresses the organization forward.
That's so incredible. Wow. I can't wait to see everything evolve for sure. And I love that you referred to it as the Rise year because I think that's actually maybe a different word, but similar is what my word for the year is. It's about growth and continuing to expand and make a bigger impact in the world. So tell me about this. How did your career grow and develop into where you were specializing in DEI and inclusivity, things of that nature?
Well, I will be very honest and transparent with you. I did not seek out truly in the beginning of my career that that's where I was going to end up. Not at all. I started in the banking industry, entry level, in client relations, customer service. And because of my tenacity and my desire to always be ongoing learning, I learned the system, I learned the business operation side of it very well. And so my career tended to progress in that vein from client relations to business development to project manager. And then that's when I moved over into leadership. My stint in leadership went from one department of 5 to 20 to 200 and then into thousands. And so I attest that all that long, being engaged with not only our customer base, but also the people inside of the organization, the vast diversity of them. And it's not just for what you see on the, skin surface. People think about the diverse aspects, of course, when they think about gender and race, but there are over 50 dimensions of diversity that make up who we are, right? And so that in itself, before I even got into the business of DEI, was part of my hardwiring. One lady I actually spoke with when I was even being considered for the role, I questioned and said, I'm not an expert in this. And she said, Gail, look in your own backyard. One, you've been happily married to your high school sweetheart who is Puerto Rican, and you've been practicing, diversity, equity, inclusion and bringing together of two cultures between the African American culture and the Hispanic culture together for the past 30 years. You've raised three beautiful children. They all are amazing women in their own right. They know who they are. They are very diverse and they're just absolutely beautiful human beings. And so you've been doing that all along. Leverage from that. And I'm glad she spoke that life into me and those words into me. And it gave me the encouragement of looking not only within my own home, in my personal life, but in professionally, the teams that I work with from all over the United States and in Canada and across the pond in Europe and in India. I was being exposed to that long before the opportunity of leading the organization progressively through a D&I effort and a pathway. So I leveraged all of those things and all of my experience and brought that to fruition into the role. And it was a great opportunity. And I was humbly honored to be able to do that.
Wow, and how impactful that was, her encouraging you to step into something that you were a little bit, not sure about, and how beautifully that's impacted, I'm sure, so many people that you've led.
Absolutely. Like I said, from all over the United States, all over Canada, across the world, and meeting those cultures, meeting those people. Um, it has been an amazing journey, and I'm still doing that even here at PayTech Women. Our member base is very diverse, and so I, again, not just from a gender or ethnicity space, but
Yeah.
geographically, culturally, all of those dynamics come into play, and I'm still today being an advocate for inclusivity being administered in every environment that we have a space in.
Thank you so much for what you do within that space. It's incredible and very admirable. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice. Oh my goodness, there's so many golden nuggets. um, but I will share one personally. It's not so much as a professional one. It is a truly take time to smell the roses and enjoy life. Life is short. And I know that sounds cliche, but certainly, coming off the pandemic and having personal and even professional impact from that, having lost loved
Mhm.
ones, dear friends, people that I knew. Like, this wasn't just the news that we were all watching, 7 years ago. This was right here at home, right in front of us, in many of our households. And for me, it was very personal. I had family members that were impacted. And so it was life changing, honestly. And those words that were spoken to me, years ago, that resonated even more. It's like, do not waste the most precious gift that you have, and that is time. The work will be there. And it is. And I'm a hard worker. I'm probably, one of the worst of, when to cut it off and when to turn it on. But I have been very intentional about taking the time to invest not only with my husband now, but we have grandchildren that resulted out of the pandemic. I call them my pandemic babies. And they are
Oh,
5-year-old grand twins and a 6-year-old grandson. And so, yes, those moments are absolutely precious to me. I do not take it for granted. And it is about creating memories. It's not about the dollar or the money or the gifts and the toys. It's about that quality of time. So that is the best advice that I could have been provided. And I take advantage of that. I don't take that for granted every day.
I know you mentioned your family. What do you enjoy? How Let me back up. How do you make sure to stop and smell the roses? What do you enjoy to do with your family or without your family? What does that look like
Oh,
for
great
you?
question. So, I'm just a very simple person. In all honesty, I do travel a lot with the work and the platform, and have a lot of FaceTime. But I truly enjoy being at home with my family, and we take advantage of celebrating milestones. So birthdays, every holiday. And it's not just, oh, let's come together and have dinner. No, it is an all out blown event that we go through. It has a theme, it has a cadence, it has all, and of course, I'm the organizer and I'm the planner of all of that. But that gives me joy. Um, and a self gratification that, I'm the first. I don't pick up the phone for everything, but I do take a lot of pictures and videos of those memories to capture it. And it's for me, of
Yeah.
course, but having a grandmother, I'll share this real quickly. Having a grandmother who lived to the age of 80, 101. I thought it was important for the grandchildren and I to capture on video when we came together to talk about the nuggets that she shared with us and the memories, because it's not just for us to remember her, but it's also, we took that video and we made it into those on our phone, and we made it a YouTube. So it actually can be carried on to the next generation. So, yes, my grandchildren, her great grandchildren, will have something to reflect back on when they get a little older and can watch it and, have that history and that knowledge and those nuggets shared on with them. So that's what I mean by, getting together. How do you treasure those moments? It's not just about being in the moment, which it is, but I also capture those moments and make sure that it's an imprint and it's a time that can be passed on to the next generation.
Next, the opposite side of things, what's the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh my goodness. That's a great question. The worst piece of advice. I can't think of any, honestly. I think that in reflecting over every person who has been part of my village, been part of my mentorship, been part of my growth, that it has all been great intended. I have learned from every person that I've ever been involved with, whether it's been, within my community, whether it's been within my church, whether it's been with my professional setting. I've never had any bad advice, to be honest with you. No, I haven't.
Well, I love that because I also feel like in every scenario and with every person that you encounter in your life, there's always something we
Yeah,
can learn,
that's
right? Um, that will fuel growth if we take the time to sit and look and reflect and implement or modify whatever it is that the lesson gave us,
right.
So I think that's a great. Do you have a favorite quote or saying?
Yes, I do. It's not the day you're born, nor the day you die. It's the dash in between.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The last time we spoke, did you say you garden?
I do. I do.
Tell us about that and how that evolved.
Um, Access to those. And so, yes, that is something that even as an adult now myself, I enjoy. Yes, it's easier, to go to the local grocery store, the local farmers market, which we have ample here in Georgia. But I like growing my own. It's something about putting my hands into the soil, being out and seeing something from a seedling, starting to bloom and break through the ground and to grow and then to produce something that is editable and nutritious for my body. I enjoy that. As busy as I am, I
Wow.
enjoy that.
It's like your thing that
Yeah.
relaxes you. I enjoy I'm by no means an artist, but I enjoy sitting down with a canvas and paint
Yeah.
and brush, sometimes just to unwind and let some
That's
creativity out.
right.
So I can relate just having something that even though you're so busy is something that you enjoy doing, that helps you
It does.
relax. So
Truly.
that's wonderful. So talk to us about your being involved with Girls Inc. Was it?
Yes. Girls eat.
Tell us about the involvement you have with that, or do you still have
Oh, of
involvement?
course. Will always be near and dear to my heart. I as I progressed in my career at TSIS, and one of my mentors and sponsors even told me, she said, "You're going to have to become laser focused on where you spend your time. More and more people are going to tug on you. They're going to ask for your input and your assistance, and you're going to have to learn to say no and determine where that needs to be." And so I was grateful for that advice. And I limited my love and my passion and my outreach for three areas. Um, Women as PayTech Women, served on the board, Girls
Mhm.
Inc., and then Hope Harbor, which is a battered women's shelter. And so that was my limit of focus. And so I have been involved or was involved with Girls Inc., having three daughters myself, for the past 20 years. And near and dear to my heart, again, became a volunteer. I was both first a parent, then I became a volunteer. Then I moved into the administration. And it was just a nice full 360, to be honest with you, because I had been working around young girls and young women for the past 20 years. And my interest, you heard me talk about it when you introduced me, was Project Cookie Jar. Because I had a background, I would bring women from TSIS on a monthly basis to the local center to teach financial literacy to the young girls. And it was, simple checking and balancing and spending habits and preparing for college and then preparing for a young adult life. How do you go shopping and how do you save and how do you start building wealth? And that was so important to me. And so even becoming as the CEO of Girls Inc. of Columbus, it was still one of the things that was near and dear to my heart. And so I appreciate it was already a program. Financial literacy was still a program from a national level that was important. So it just continued to align. And even today, I still give to my little girls. I consider them, you heard me say I have 3 grandchildren by blood, but I felt like I had 200 grandchildren that got to come into the center each day. And when I took, oh my goodness, just so much love, so much warmth to see their little faces light up. And I intentionally put mirrors in the front of each center. And it was so that they could actually, when they come in, I wanted them to see and look at themselves and say, why are you beautiful and who are you? Don't wait on someone to give you that self-affirmation. It's important for you to start early, realizing it's not coming from an arrogant or cocky place at all. It's about self-affirmation and self-awareness. And in closing, one of the young ladies who was 16, she was one of my teens. I went into the classroom and it was a smaller group. I think it was like 8 or 9 that day. And I said, come here, sweetheart. And I said, tell me your name. And she did. And I said, look in the mirror and tell yourself, what do you see? And she was very shy and reserved and she wouldn't say anything at first. And I said, well, you are absolutely beautiful. And tears start rolling down her face. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, no one has ever told me that. And I said, well, you look. I said, look up, look in the mirror. And I said, you tell yourself that. And I said, and every morning you get up and you look in that mirror, that's what you say. And after a year's time, so, the whole school term went by, and by that May, oh my goodness, you saw not just the outward, but the inner spirit of this girl completely transformed. And she was booming. I'm just a beautiful, not just outward, but just a beautiful, beautiful child. And so that's where I got my passion. I enjoyed getting up every day, going into the centers and seeing those 200 young ladies come through. And when I'm in town, when I'm not traveling, I still drop by and just say hello to all of them because they will always be near and dear to my heart.
Wow. I think that's the mission that they're doing there and that you were helping and still help with is so important to our young women. Helping them shape and carve their life, somebody there to maybe give them some wisdom, encouragement, all of those things that maybe they haven't, like you just demonstrated, hadn't received somewhere else. So that's, wow, you've done very impactful work throughout your life. And I appreciate that so much. So that leads me into my next question, which is, if you were going to give someone or a woman, since you run PayTech Women, if you were going to give a woman entering into the FinTech industry or looking to any advice, what would you tell them?
Definitely the first advice I would say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of stretch goals. Don't be afraid of the unknown. I would say, certainly looking back, and I always use my career as a premise, and even others that have done phenomenal that I admire and are inspired by. Each one of them, if you heard us talk about our journey, was taking that step into the unknown and not being afraid to do so. And even when you do, you've got someone to your left or to your right. Like you said, my friend told me, hey, look in your own backyard. Right? You don't know anything about DEI, but you already have a premise. Having someone even give you that encouragement, even if you are afraid, that is important. So first and foremost, don't be afraid to step into the unknown, to take that leap of faith. When someone believes in you and provides you with that opportunity, step through that door, take it, because you will acclimate. You will. We are some of the most tenacious people and human beings and spirits that you ever want to come across with, right? And so we harper,
Right.
we're not going to fail. And we will do everything in our power not to and use it. That in itself reaps the reward of success. So don't be afraid to take a leap of faith and to step into something that may feel uncomfortable, because you will acclimate and then the next opportunity becomes available. So complacency is never an option. It's never an option.
That's incredible advice. I can say, reflecting upon my life and my past, that every time I've pushed myself to step into something that I was maybe fearful of, to start, I've never regretted it, and I've always expanded and grown from it. So, what powerful advice that is! Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your time with us today. If you could let our listeners know how they can get in touch with PayTech Women, or how they can find you, let them know.
Absolutely. Well, we have an amazing website that has all of our resources and our programmings and our value propositions. It is at www.paytechwomen, all one word, paytechwomen.org. Again, www.paytechwomen.org. And it is a great landing page where you can see not only our national team, our leadership, our board members, board of directors, all of the amazing locations throughout the United States where we're located, and of course our programmings as well as our corporate sponsors and participants.
Fantastic. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone listening in, and just remember, you don't need permission to evolve, just a fierce decision to begin. Thank you for listening to Fierce Frequency with me, Angela Cherry. If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to follow the show and share it with someone who needs that spark. Until next time, stay bold, stay powerful, and stay fierce. And remember, you don't need permission to evolve, just a fierce decision to begin.